Adani Defence Systems and Technologies Limited has signed an agreement to acquire 85.8% stake in Airworks India, one of the country's leading aircraft maintenance companies, for an enterprise value of 400 crore rupees. Now, this acquisition is a major boost for India's maintenance, repair and overhaul MRO sector, bringing Airworks' extensive network of operations across 35 cities and a workforce of over 1,300 people under the Adani Enterprises umbrella. With services ranging from line maintenance and heavy checks to base maintenance for narrow-body and turboprop aircraft, Airworks is also a key player in defense MRO, having worked on aircraft used by the Indian Navy as well as the Indian Air Force. Well, let's look at the trading chart of Adani Enterprises this morning. Adani Enterprises year to date has given a decline to shareholders and a decline of almost 20% when you talk about this particular calendar year. We've seen Adani Enterprises reach a high of about 3,600 rupees per share on the 3rd of June earlier this year, but since then the Adani stock has been mostly in a downward decline, and of course we saw the sharpest correction happen on the 18th and 19th of November. On the trading screen this morning, Adani Enterprises is trading at 2,350 odd levels. Amartya Singh is back with us. The news of Adani getting into the MRO space, Amartya Singh, is this going to bring some cheer to investors in the Adani Enterprises stock?
I would say that really wouldn't matter much for Adani Enterprises. Yes, that's definitely a sort of integration which they are looking at. But how much of that is really going to impact? Because the acquisition size also, if you look at that's peanuts as compared to the sort of investments which they do. But yes, to some extent. But overall, Adani Group stocks, if you see, they've been hit by various sorts of news flows over the last couple of years, which has impacted them. And if you look at Adani Enterprises right now, it's around 2350. It did recently hit a low of 2025 on 22nd of November, but has pulled back from those levels. So currently, I would say that 2550, 2560, that's a zone of a resistance where Adani Enterprises could meet with some sort of resistance. Looking at it from a technical perspective, the recent lows definitely seems to be a short-term bottom about Adani Enterprises. So till the time we don't see a collapse or a major sell-off happening across the board, not only in the domestic markets but internationally, this low should hold for Adani Enterprises. And those who are getting into the stock or wish to get into the stock, they have to be prepared for increased volatility because the stock has been displaying a lot of volatility over the past couple of years.
All right, expect volatility in the Adani Enterprises stock, and of course enough and more news triggers domestically and internationally that have been impacting the stock for a couple of years now. Staying with the aviation space, because that's how we entered this conversation. Amar, I want your views on Indigo, Interglobe Aviation and SpiceJet. Now, remember, MRO was one of the major issues in the servicing of the Pratt & Whitney engines when Go First eventually had to land forever. And nothing seems to have improved on the MRO front. But is this news of Adani getting into the MRO space likely to impact Interglobe Aviation stocks and SpiceJet stocks?
So if I look at Indigo in particular, see, the stock has had a significant rally. Currently it's around 4450 odd levels or so. And the stock is, we need to understand is that the stock has rallied. If I look at year till date, the stock is up by more than 50%. If I look at the stock from a longer term perspective, the stock has delivered, and also this sector is there to grow, and Indigo definitely is a major player in this sector. We also having the likes of Air India and the Vistara merger. So those also having some impact, but Indigo still has a major share, and also in terms of the timeliness, it stands out. So I think that definitely is helping because when people travel by air, they always prefer that time is of essence. That's the reason they're traveling by. Otherwise, they would prefer traveling by train.
Right.
So somewhere or the other, that discipline or that maintenance or management of time is something which is very important and essential. And growth is definitely for this sector. I won't say that immediately there seems to be any impact or would be any impact on the Adani news from that perspective.
Okay.
So yeah.
But do you think, Amar, Indigo is perhaps the only stock which enjoys some sort of a monopolistic advantage because it is among the only two private commercial aviation companies which are listed on the bourses. The other one, of course, being SpiceJet. And SpiceJet hasn't really had what one would call a stellar year 2024. So what is your view on SpiceJet?
So SpiceJet basically has its own share of challenges, and till the time they really are not able to resolve that, I won't say investors really placing much value there. And as far as you rightly said, Indigo has a pole position in terms of the aviation, and the only I would say challenge which would which could throw up for aviation stocks is crude oil prices. If we see, because right now if you see crude oil prices are trading, Brent crude is anywhere below the 70, 72, 73 level. So crude oil prices, as long as they're trading below the 80 mark, I don't think that's much of concern
Okay.
for the aviation stocks. Yes, definitely any rise in crude oil prices has an impact on their aviation fuel as well.
Right.
But so that's one major thing which is beyond the control of the aviation sector, which could always play a spoil sport. So as long as God is kind on them, I think they are doing quite well. And as far as our markets are concerned, the way Indian travelers have really taken off, be it the hospitality sector or the aviation sector, Indigo is there to stay, and it's a good opportunity. But again, from a longer term perspective, and also buying in an SIP mode is always a better idea rather than going all out at any specific price.